Okay, guys, so we're going to go over a little bit. What I want to talk about is kind of defense and not getting caught in things. And a lot of that comes from having good positions ahead of time. So being in somebody's guard, that's one of the first that we should kind of address. That's a spot that we feel like we're in a good position, but there's a few things we need to be aware of. Okay, so first thing I want to do is make sure my hand is under the rib cage or the belt, right? If I have the belt on, I want to keep my hands, I usually will hold the belt, but then I still press my heel of the palm under her rib cage. Okay? I want to make sure that my hand's not going to slip. I want to keep behind her center line. So we're going to talk about that. A vertical center line and then a horizontal center line. Being the rib cage, right? So if I cross over that, that's going to put me in more danger. So if I had one or even both hands past her center line, I could get caught in a double armbar. I could get caught in just a single armbar. Because my arm's extended, I'm not stronger than her when it comes to bringing my arm back if she decides to attack me. She just tried to pull my arms, but because they're short, she wasn't able to pull it. So that's the idea, keeping my arms short so they can't pull me into a dangerous position. I want to make sure that my elbows are not pointed out. Very easy for her to pull my elbows and break my posture. Now it's going to be harder to get back up. Along the same lines, I don't want to do this elbow press that you see a lot of people doing to open the guard for the same reason. If she, with her guard, pulls her knees, pulls her knees to her chest, now she breaks me down. Okay? And then she can again hold on to me and keep my posture broke for a moment. So, what do I do with my elbows? I don't bend them, I don't flare them out, I turn them inward. I also don't want to lock them out. When my arm is completely locked out, she pulls with both hands on my elbow, I can get hyperextended there. So I want to keep them slightly bent so she's not able to do that. You can also do the same thing with the pants. One thing with grabbing the pants, I don't want to grab too close to the legs, see what happens with my elbows. Also, my point of balance, the tipping point where I would fall forward, is much closer. I'm more over my hands right now. So again, if you brought your knees too much to the chest, I would end up falling forward and getting broken down forward. So I like to have a bit of an angle. So I like the rib cage. I'll do this side so you can see what I do here. And then I might come back here with my other hand. So now they're staggered, and I can start working on opening the guard here. So I still have a frame, still have a structure that's going to make it hard for her to pull me forward while I'm working on the leg and opening the leg. So if you're ever reaching back, pushing down on the leg, I have this here. Remember too, we'll go into the next thing, which is the triangle, making sure we don't get caught with that. So, hands under the rib cage, elbows inward, slightly bent, not completely locked out. And if I ever want to walk back here, I'm doing one hand at a time, reach back. Okay. The second thing that we want to make sure that we don't do is have one hand out of the guard and one hand in the guard. If I just have one hand in the guard, and she throws her triangle up or guard up on my head and my neck, I'm in danger of the triangle. It's the beginnings of getting caught in the triangle. What we're trying to do is shut things down from the very start, not letting the person get the very first thing. So like on that collar choke, they get a deep collar grip. I'm already in danger of a collar choke. I need to break that first grip. If my arm's in, I already messed up. I need to get my other hand in. So I either need two hands in the guard, or I need two hands out of the guard. She tries to get a triangle here, there's no triangle. She can squeeze my neck or head with your legs as much as she wants. With both hands out, I'm not going to get caught in a triangle. I need my shoulder pressing against my neck to get caught in a triangle, get choked. So yeah, my head's going to be stuck, but I'm not in danger of getting choked out. Okay. 2 hands in or 2 hands out. Never just one. Okay? Just one. Never just one. Okay? Next thing, I also don't want to put my hands on the mat. Okay? So never have your hands on the mat. Reason being, there are more. You can get in on the plot. So the whole time you're here in the guard, they're going to be trying to get your hands off of this. This is very difficult for her. I can shut down her hips, keep her from moving. She can't armbar me, she can't triangle me, she can't underbody me. My hands here in her rib cage. So she's going to be trying to fight to get your hands to the mat all the time. I need to keep putting them right back in the same spot. If she gets into the mat, I need to get her back. Right? You'll never see me letting my hand just sit here. It doesn't matter what she's doing, I'm always bringing my hands back. Right? If you notice, go do it again. I'm like fixing one at a time. I don't try to fix both because now the guard is moving me around and I lose my balance. I always have one thing, even if I just have to keep it just a little bit longer. And if I have to keep it there just a little bit longer, or let go a little sooner than one, just so I can replace it before she gets both down. She gets both down, now she can choose. So never letting your hands touch the mat. So talk about the center line. I reach past the center line. So this should go without being said. But I also want to reach around her head. You see this a lot. Grabbing around her head. All she needs to do here, hip out, and now she has a reverse arm bar. It's very easy to get. It's her whole body against my arm. Unless I have like crazy pressure forward and I'm locking her hips down, she's going to have a pretty easy time getting my arm. So anytime you're reaching for the neck here, like trying to hold or do this, I'm putting myself in danger. I've already reached past her center line, and now I've done worse. I've reached around the neck, so I gave her a fulcrum. Gave her a fulcrum for the.
What was that called, Brian?
Say again?
What was that called again?
Like a fulcrum, a reverse armbar. They also call the razor. This is like she right here.
Okay.
And it's gonna bend my elbow backwards. So that's reaching past the ribs, but also reaching past her neck, even worse. So that's a few things in the guard that I should watch out for. Okay. Let's go to being mounted. So this is going to be pretty similar because the mount is pretty much the guard, but now she's on top. So again, I don't want to reach past the center line. I can get armbar. I don't want to put one of the hands underneath, trying to throw her off. I can get mounted triangle, right? I don't want to reach around the body. That'd be the same as touching the mat. She could get a kimura or a omoplata, right? So I don't want to hold her on me, like I don't want to squeeze like this, because now I'm adding more weight on top. It's already hard enough to breathe. And then you're pulling them down on you, you're going to burn yourself out, you're going to burn out your arms, you're going to press yourself more. You don't want to belly out, for sure. I wouldn't want to like bump real hard and do this, trying to get up. That would be a no-no. I'm not going to be able to hold their knee and yank them down. I'm going to waste my energy. So here, It's a time to breathe, a time to realize that she has a good position and that I need to escape. Right? So the main things we want to be doing here, we talked about when I'm in the guard, where I'm positioning my hands and everything. I don't need to do that here. I don't need to hold her down, so I don't need to do anything with the rib cage. What I need to do is pretend I have quarters in my armpits, so my elbows are tight. My hands are here in front of my neck, usually somewhere towards the center, so I can cross to the opposite side. What that does blocks any hands from coming to my collar. It keeps her from being able to extend my arm where I don't want it, and keeps it closer to my center line, so I don't get put out here in the key line, right? So she's going to be trying to pull my arm up. I need to keep it short. Pull my arm up. And she's going to be trying to push it down for the key lock. And she's going to be trying to reach in my collar for collar chokes. I'm holding the hand. I can't grab fingers. What I can do, I like to grab the fist, the whole fist. So as she's reaching in the collar, if I grab the whole fist, she can't grip my collar. Right? Obviously, I don't have the gi on right now, but you can imagine if I'm holding her fist close, it's really hard for her to open it back up, grab my collar. Okay? And that is not illegal. If I start grabbing fingers, that's illegal, you know, and I don't want to mess around with trying to grab all the fingers, and then you mess up and you only hit 3. You don't have time to mess up and not grab the right amount of fingers. Just grab the whole, I grab for these 4 knuckles, and then I close it. And I just hold the fist. So I'm going to be able to grab my collar back. So once you've managed that, I can't sit here and defend forever. That's another mistake, is waiting too long. What I want to do is I'm going to, this whole time, I have my feet bent. They're close to my butt. Okay? You also don't want to be here. That wouldn't be good. I don't have anything involved. Put my feet close. They're here the whole time I'm defending. And what that's for is so I can bump. I'm never going to be able to bump her off. She's going to have to be. So there's a Mario Sperry DVD. It basically says, unless it's my grandma, and he uses another term as well, there's no way you're going to be able to bump them when they go flying off. Okay? So what do we have to do? Look for that DVD. It's funny. But you're going to bump and you're going to turn on your side. Remember, I'm not bellying out. I'm on my side. My elbows, if you saw, they came right inside her knee. Okay? This has been called the elbow escape. What I'm going to do here is this is now a frame on her inside of her knee. My other frame is against the hip. And when I turned sideways, it wasn't in this direction. I was actually pulling this hip backwards. So I bump to create space underneath my back, and I pull my hip underneath me here. And that made the space. I just opened up more space with my elbow and here. Okay? Now, a couple things happen here. I'm going to try to shrink, and depending on how they react, your hip's either going to come out or the knee's going to come up. But I shrimp. You see what happened there? So now I could just bring this knee in. I haven't shown this a lot in class. And my other foot up. Now I have like basically Ashigurami or single leg X. Pull this way, right? And back to the box. But the main thing is she's in my guard. Remember we talked about guard? You got to be in between my knees. So I've already created a guard that she's in. What I have to make sure I don't do here, and IBJJF rules, is this foot cannot come over. They consider any inward pressure of this knee. Hold on. Everyone's there? Good. Okay. They consider any inward pressure of this knee reaping. And they usually will look at where the foot is to determine if there's inward pressure. Well, my foot does not have to pass the hip to be considered reaping. If I press this knee that way, that's considered reaping too. Just by, see how I close my knee? That's considered illegal. So they're going to look at the foot mostly, but a good ref is going to see that you're pressing with your knee. So what I'm going to do on this position is I have my toes pointed out and my heel is in. So my heel is keeping her from getting on top. That's the main important thing. I don't want her to get back on top of me. And because my toes are pointed out, my knee's pointed out. So there can't be any inward pressure on the knee. So that's how we're going to make sure that we don't get disqualified. Okay? So I'm going to bump, turn sideways. Remember, my feet are close to my butt. I'm pulling my hip underneath. I'm not rolling towards the direction I'm trying to face. I'm pulling my other hip backwards. And my elbow frames inside the knee. Now, the goal is to shrimp and then bring my knee through. So now that's in the way, and my heel can stop her heel. Okay? If you want to sweep them from here, because you're not always allowed to do footlocks, you can do a straight footlock almost every division. But if you just want to sweep them, I'm going to turn my body this way, hand down, and pull my leg in face. So, without a partner, I'm pulping, turning my hip under. My elbow wedges under her knee. Shrimp, and then shooting through. Just like a placing guard. The other leg comes over. Now I just roll this way. Put my hand down. Put my leg out. So now I'm in combat stance. Okay. That's one way out. The main idea to get things started was just the first part. You don't have to be able to perform that sweep yet. Remember, we're just going over the details, how not to get caught, right? Elbows tight, hands are close, I got quarters in my armpits. I can't let them fall out, right? So let's say she starts going for a key lock. Right about here, the quarters fell out. I'm already in, right? So I can't let the quarters fall out. Let's say I'm going to just make it so the quarters don't come out tight in the key lock. Good. All I'm doing right now, I'm not letting any space under my armpit open up. Good, try that. Yeah. See, as long as that happens, she's not going to get a key lock, right? So you can literally grapple with quarters in your armpits and practice that. And that works in other positions too. I do that a lot with my wrestlers, not letting the quarters come out and play a game, and don't let them drop the quarters. And that's a good way to make sure you're not going to get taken down, right? You're not getting your arm dragged, right, for example. You're not getting arm barred if the quarters won't come out, right? There's a lot of good uses for that. So always keep your elbows tight to your ribs, hands in the front. So,
now, hey, Brian.
Bumping, feet are close to the butt, turn sideways, wedge into the knee. And that's it, okay? That's where we start. Okay. From here, you can literally just shrimp. You don't have to do the single leg X, Ashigarami stuff. We will start working on that though. Any questions so far? We did guard and we did mounted.
Hey, no grips.
No questions?
I was gonna say no grips on that at all, right? When you're mounted,
yeah,
you don't want to grab it. You're not holding anything.
Yeah, I'm not pulling on her lapel. I'm not reaching for wrists, right?
Right.
I want to stay here.
That's all just straight up defend.
If anything, is she's going for a collar choke, I'm grabbing her fist.
Right.
The opposite fist, right? The one that's trying to go across collar.
Or Gable Grip.
Knuckles. And she tries to go the other side, I catch the other one, right? That's all I'm doing. If I have a gi, sometimes I'll put my thumb in my own gi and have my fingers out. Because why? That will catch their hand every time. And as soon as I feel their hand, I let go of my own gi and I grab their fist.
Right.
So, but remember, we don't want to stay there, right? So don't always just do this with your thumb in the gi and everything and just stay there forever. Once they're not choking you, you're escaping. You're bumping and rolling, bumping and shrimping, whatever your escape that you decided you like to do from it, right? We have a lot of escapes, and we can go over that if we're not sure. which ones you like.
Now, when you grabbed your hands, when you grabbed your own hands to keep her from.
You can do that. You can do this too.
The Gable Grip, yeah.
Yeah, thumbs next to the fingers.
Right.
Turn one underhand. Fingers wrap around the thumb. Make sure your thumb catches the ridge of your own thumb.
Right.
And these are just around the back.
Just
Another
that Gable grip.
Is 3 fingers. So 3 fingers go around into the thumb, and then I close that. That's another good grip.
Okay.
Another good grip is from wrestling as well. All these grips are from wrestling. Butterfly grip. So I thumbs next to the fingers. I grab my own forearms.
Right.
So it's tighter. What's good about that? I'm losing my grip. Now I have Gable.
You fall into Gable.
Switch to 3 finger. Losing my grip, I can switch to the S grip. So
right.
This is the S grip, right?
Yeah.
And then it's finally broke. So they got to go through
by then,
grips if you start with the butterfly.
If you didn't escape by then, you suck.
Yeah. Now, that's good for armbar, to stop an armbar, right? But remember, we don't want to just defend. We want to prevent and then start our offense, or our defense, like bumping and rolling and bumping and shrimping. Those are our proactive movements, right? We don't want to wait and just defend, stop whatever they're trying to do. We want to eventually be proactive and start getting out of it, right?
Right.
There's another concept, but I don't think of any position as bad when I'm rolling, right? If I get mounted, I just go, okay, they got their points. They got the 4 points already, right? I would have fought for the 3 seconds to not get mounted. They mounted me and controlled for 3 seconds. They got their points. I'm going to settle down. I'm going to calm down. And I'm going to think, okay, from mounted, what do I do to get out, right? And that's one thing I showed you today is like how to get out of there. I'm just thinking, what do I do from this position? It's just another position, right? Half guard is a position. I have guard as a position, right? We're both standing as another position. And I'm just thinking in my mind, what are the important things to do here? And what's my next good position? How could I improve my position from here? So I don't think of any of them as a bad spot, right? Because then what happens? It's just negative in your mind. You don't need the negative in your mind. You're mounted, right? You need to be thinking positive, how to get out of there, right?
Right.
So that's what I do in my mind. Is just don't think of anything as a bad spot.
Now, obviously, for our level, like Juan and myself, elbow escape would probably be choice number 1.
Great. Turning sideways, being careful not to give your back, right? And then getting your elbow in there, because then she's not going to be able to squeeze on your body anymore. You can start to shrimp, which creates more space that your knee can come through, right?
Right. That prevents them from following you.
Really good one that I like, very efficient. Let's say the elbow escape isn't working. It's still the same movement. You're gonna be like, you gotta bump and turn on your side. So I bump and turn on my side, right? I have a second to reach down and put this in between my knees, right? So now technically, I'm no longer mounted because the ankle is in there, right? This is what we used to call quarter guard. So they started calling it different guard, quarter guard. But quarter guard because the knee's not in it, so it's not half guard. So I bump, turn on my side, I still have my frame, and I can reach down and catch this, okay? What's the risk of that? The only risk of reaching down here, let's say I didn't get the half guard yet, she could get an arm bar. She could say, oh, look, he's extending that arm, and she could try to get this arm bar here. Go ahead and do the arm bar. Okay. Now, what if, no, turn on my side, and I reach down, and I make sure that I got that, right? Now when she tries the arm bar, she can try the arm bar, but I have a half guard. Keep going. Feels really awkward. That's why she's waiting. She's trying to do something different. Do a regular arm bar. Yes, still do it. Do the arm bar.
Okay, my knee is traveling the foot.
You see, it's already so difficult.
It's just too difficult, right?
Now I can actually wait longer. She's trying to armbar me. That's easy to take this off my head and get up, right? So it buys you a lot of time.
Don't do it, guys.
The half guard, saves you from a lot of stuff. So to have confidence that I just need the foot in between my legs, now you don't have to worry about it, that arm bar, right? So the point is, like, half guard's a good position, right? The risk of being mounted is, yes, they can arm bar you. But if I get a half guard, I don't have to worry about the arm bar. It's a lot easier to escape. So when I turn on my side, we're taught, like, oh, don't extend your arm. Yeah, but if I have a half guard, that's not as important, right? And what if I held on to her leg the whole time that I put it in there? Now it's even harder to get that arm bar, right? So getting into a better position, that's the principle I'm trying to go over there. It's just getting into a better position, because once you do, let's go there again, actually, and then I finish on it.
Is there a name for that, Brian?
Say again?
Is there a name for that?
I just call it getting the half guard, like stepping over for half guard, because the technique would be this. I'm everything's tight, I'm good, I'm in a good position, turn on my side, reach down, and throw this in there, right? So I just call it stepping over for the half guard. I want you, like, grabbing the ankle, preferably, because the pants, they shake around, they move. But you can actually move the ankle, and it's going to be in your half guard. Now look at my feet. So I point my toes to the mat, and that's so I can create space underneath and switch my hip. We went over that yesterday when we did the shrimping, right? Picking your butt up off the ground and then moving your butt. That's what I want to do there. Because this is like a crowbar on her shin. Try to keep your knee down. And now watch. I'm going to lift my hips, and I'm going to turn my knees towards the other wall. It's like a crowbar on her leg. She can't stop it. And then what she does want to do is keep her knee on the ground. I push. It goes right into my half guard. Yeah, and because I push the knee between my legs, she needs to cover me. And so now you have half guard, right? If you really wanted full guard, just take my knee out and push. I like half guard, so I stay there. So one more time. I got a little thing here. iPhone raised hand. Is that Tony? Oh, that's your iPhone. Hold on, let me rename you. Did you have a question, Arsenio?
Oh, sorry, I had the hand up
It's
for
okay.
that reason.
Yeah, I didn't know if I missed that earlier or not.
Yeah.
So this is the other escape. If you don't want to do the single leg X or Ashigarami, either one, then you can do this one. Bump, turn on the side, reaching down right away. See her hands? She's not getting an armbar yet. She's posting because I just bumped real hard. That's already there. By the time she settles and gets up and tries to get this armbar, it's going to be too late. So instead, she's trying to push her knee down to the mat. I do the crowbar, and I'm pushing. Down under that. But I don't want half guard on my back. So I keep putting my butt up. I'm framing up the inside of the knee. See where my hand is? On my elbow, pushing the knee. I already have half guard. I'm coming up, forward, I'm on full guard. Take it out and sit back into full guard. Just another escape. Most places will teach bump. Get their hands on the mat. Now, let's show that. Most places will show this. There's nothing wrong with it. I gotta be careful. I don't want to lose my quarters, right? But I'm gonna reach down. I'm gonna hold the hips or the belt. The key, again, it moves a lot, right? So I'm gonna hold something that doesn't move much. The belt or the hips, the actual hips. My feet are close to my butt. I'm gonna bump hard. The goal was just to get her hands down. Don't start going like, I call it getting grabby. Don't start grabbing the wrists and like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I know I only need one of these hands. So I'm gonna throw my hands out and I'm gonna clasp them together and break them. Why do I do that? Because if I start reaching for her hand, she moves it, I'm messing up, and look, I've extended my arm, right? I put my arm in here, and now she's adjusting. But if I bumped, you got her to put her hand somewhere, I know where my hands are, so I reach for my own hands, and then do that. And I know I've caught something. I find which side I've caught, and my foot here steps over her ankle, and now I bump one more time. So the first time I bumped, I had the intention of just getting her hands to the mat. The second time I bump is to actually get the roll, right? So now I bump, but then I roll. Hands where they belong, and I'm in the guard. So it's bump and roll, nothing wrong with that, but people expect it. And it takes some energy. I'm bumping twice. I see people missing the arms a lot. It's really easy to find that ankle and shove it in the half guard, right? That's what I like about that one. The bump and the shrimp is essentially the same thing as catching the half guard first, but it takes bigger movements. And like Tony and I were talking about yesterday, being bigger, that shrimping is difficult. Now you got someone your size on top of you, even more difficult. Our hips are big, and with a lot of weight on our stomach, it's hard to get the hips out. It's not like you can just slip out of there, you know? But you could get an ankle in the half guard, you could crowbar the knee up and shove it in your own half guard, and then much easier to get out. You've already gotten out. And that's something you can do in less than 3 seconds, right? If I'm mounted, and I'm gonna bump and roll. 1, 2, like that was a really long 3 seconds. And maybe I got it, right? But get them out. 1, 2, and I got the half guard, right? That's all I needed to stop the points. Now I can continue. So that's mount, right? The main purpose of today was elbows tight, staying safe, right? We went over a few escapes only because we don't want to stay there defending, right? We're in a bad position. So we don't want to just defend the whole time. We can't defend forever. Eventually they're going to get us, right? Half guard to half guard. So we're kind of there.
Hey,
you got a question?
Real quick, Brian. Yeah, with that, with the mount, that's with her sitting up, right?
Yeah.
If they flatten out on top of you, same concept?
Yes. With the added mentality that her weight is now spread out more, right? So the lower body's going to be lighter. It's probably going to be easier to shrimp at that point, right? Unless they're holding your head. But I can still manipulate the knee and the ankle easier because now the weight's spread out. When she's here, all the weight's on the knees and the leg, and so that first bump is going to get some of the weight off. But if they're here, now the ankle's really light back there.
And even if they're like hooked, you know what I mean, hooks in?
Like a grapevine?
Yeah.
Good question. You know what a grapevine is? No. Grapevine is this. So the legs are grapevine. I have to do something extra.
Okay.
Yeah. So when my leg is grapevine here, it's really hard to fall, right? I can't turn on my side. So here's what I do. I'm going to extend one of the legs first, right? And then I'm going to put it down. But I put it down somewhere hidden. I can even step on that and come out. Okay? Let's say I can't step on it right now, but I can extend my leg and I can try to step on it. But maybe that's not working. I'm going to hide my foot away from that one, and then I'm going to set the other one and I put them close together. Now, I got to work before she grapevines it again, right? Bump to the side, get the ankle, right? Ready to go. So again, she grapevines, maybe she then I can open it up. Because I took away her post. So in guard, we have sweeps. But when we're mounted, we can still roll them. We can. It's not a sweep. We don't get points, but we can still take away their posts and roll, right? So we can do the bump and roll there. If they got the arm, even with one of the grapevines, she's giving me, remember I have to step over the foot to roll. The reason we step over the foot is so when she's mounted, she doesn't just stop it that way. If I catch her arm but not her foot, she can step out, right? I won't roll it.
Right.
If she tries to bump and roll, but she doesn't trap my foot, right? She traps my foot, but not my arm, right? She got to trap both. So I'm grapevining. It's also like she trapped my foot. So the grapevine is half of what you need for the bump and roll. So you really only need to get one of those feet out, right? If you're going to do the bump and roll. If you're going to do one of the others, like getting the half guard or shrimping, you're going to want to get both feet loose.
Okay.
Any other question? Okay. Let's talk about half guard top. We don't talk about that enough. Let me do the bottom first, since we were already there. First of all, put your knee here, not the other knee. Yeah, this is not half guard. I only have her ankle. I'm basically getting my guard pass. I have a quarter guard. When she was mounted here, it's the same thing. I just have the ankle. It's just a quarter of a guard. I need to push the knee in every time. Okay? So I see people getting a half guard. They think they're safe, but they're not safe. This is still not enough. I need that knee in there. So I think of my knees like an alligator up and I'm eating the knee. You hear me say eat the knee? That means I want you to put up higher on the leg. Okay? With that, you see underhook, you get at least to my elbow. Right? So down here, they're putting pressure. Sometimes it's hard to get on your elbow. Okay? So my frame is going to come inside your leg. I'm going to turn to the side. I push your knee out. Now, swing this behind you. So even if she's driving, puts me up onto my elbow. The underhook comes on my elbow. This is a good half guard. Okay? This is where we want to be. So this position is going to keep us out of a lot of trouble, and it's going to put us in a position where we can attack. Okay? So from the top, I want to eliminate all of that stuff. So the idea here is if I just stay here, look how easy it is for you to take your knee out and get guard. So that's what I see people ignoring. When I'm in top half guard, the first thing I need to do, I need to keep it in too. I need to trap that knee. Okay? Also look at my arm. Naturally, I'm already draping it over. Anytime someone has an underhook, and this is concepts, all positions, anytime someone has an underhook, I need to overhook. If it's no gi, I press the back of my hand against their chest. If it's gi, I grab the gi, right? I tie that up. I make sure it's not going to come out. Unless I can get my own, right? So from the top, we're either overhooking the underhook if it's already there, or we're re-swimming and getting our own underhook. I need to get her off her elbow, flat on the back. Push her flat. Look at my foot here. So I'm upper body. I need to be thinking about my lower body. Remember, she just really started. And now I've passed the center line. It's really easy way to get caught and stuff. So the string's coming loose. That's a really easy way to get caught. So what I need to do, pay attention to my lower body and my upper body at the same time. So I got her flat. This leg under, pinching her leg. Now try to get it over. she can't. Okay? While I'm thinking about it, what also happens when people are struggling to get full guard, a lot of times they open their legs up. Really easy way for me to mount. If I'm not feeling for her legs to open up, I'm not paying attention all the time. I'm just thinking about this heel out here, and I don't notice that she opened her guard, and I can step over, right? So I need to always be aware what I can't see down there, but I can feel it, right? Know when people are opening their guard. I see people here. I see people here in the guard, and like I feel it's open right now. I can get up, right? You need to know that they open their guard. There's no reason for me to keep on fighting this. Like, oh, it's already open, right? So I'm wasting my time, my energy, and she doesn't have to do anything because she already let her guard go. And she's just like, okay, you open my guard, but it's not trying to pass. So always be aware, like, when you feel the legs are not crossed anymore, now you can pass. So we did top half guard, bottom half guard, mainly that we're pinching the leg, okay? They can always replace the guard. So something to remember in jiu-jitsu is concept. Concepts is what I'm trying to teach you, and principles, concepts, same thing. The progression of jiu-jitsu. And that's where like points jiu-jitsu kind of matters, I think. Even if you like submission only stuff, points in jiu-jitsu matter. So the points reward the progression of your position. So we start a match standing, and the person who gets the takedown gets 2 points, right? They improve their position. So that's already saying that top position in somebody's guard is better than pulling guard. If I was to pull guard, I don't get any points, right? I didn't progress my position. That's why some people argue pulling guard should lose a point, right? Because it's not progressing, it's going backwards. It's assuming the other guy took you down and you would rather just get there rather than take a big slam, right? So then once you take the person down, you pass the guard. Passing the guard gets you 3 points, right? You've passed the guard. If I took somebody down and I landed in side control, I don't get any points. And there's talk about that should give you points. That could definitely be argued. But you get the points for the action of passing the guard. So if I got to take them and I landed in side control, I wouldn't get any points. Just the 2 for the takedown. But I wouldn't get 3 for side control because 3 is attributed to passing the guard. Side control does not get points. Now, if I get knee on belly from side control, I get 2 extra points. Okay? Or even if I just pass straight to knee on belly, I'll get 2 points for that position. And then if I mount, I get 4 more. Okay? Now, if you go backwards from mount to knee on belly, or knee on belly to side control and back to knee on belly, right? You just go backwards and then forward again. You don't get the 2 points for knee on belly again because you're not progressing your position, right? You had mount, now you went backwards to the knee on belly. Or you had knee on belly and you went back off to side control and back to knee on belly. You didn't do anything. You went backwards and then you went back to where you started. Same thing if you went mount, side control, and then back forward to knee on belly again. You didn't go forward, you went backward, right? So no points in knee on belly. So, and the only other way to get points from that progression would be they bump, right? They turn their back to you, trying to get up maybe to turtle, and you take their back. 4 more points. And that's the progression of jiu-jitsu. If you happen to get taken down or you pull guard and you sweep the person, you go from bottom to top using the guard, you get 2 points, right? And then you go into that same progression we were just talking about. If you got mounted and you did your roll and ended up on top, you don't get points. They consider that an escape. You're improving your position, yes, but you were already in a bad one to start off. So points jiu-jitsu in the point system is rewarding progression of the position. Yeah, Arsenio.
Yeah, you mentioning that just kind of set a light bulb off. When you did the bump into half guard,
yeah,
the risk of them taking your back there, is there much of a risk there or no?
Yes. So that's a good point too. So couple things. So first, to answer Arsenio, remind me why I got half guard instead of bumping home. So when I got the half guard, so right here, if I bump and roll and I get this leg in, right?
Right.
Half guard, I always say this all the time, half guard is halfway to the back. All she has to do, slide her knee up to my head, more, with here, and then seatbelt, roll me to the other side. She puts it the other way, right? Cracks me up with the kids all the time because they love getting half guard, they think it's cool, but then the other kid puts in the other hook and gets their back. And I'm like, you just got your back. They're like, but I have half guard. No, but he has your back, right? Because half guard is when there's only one hook in your guard. But if I'm behind you and I put the second hook, I have your back. So the concept there, what to pay attention to there is, again, not staying. We did a class where we were talking about a position, where I was talking about you can't just stay in a certain spot. You have to keep progressing, or else you're giving them something, right? In this case, you're giving your back if you just stay there with that quarter guard. You're in with a half guard, right? So once you get that quarter guard, your hand's going to the knee, and you're crowbarring the shin to get that knee into the half guard, right? Very important that you just keep moving progressively, right? Keep moving into better positions. So yeah, she could definitely get my back. There's a risk there.
Okay.
Even if we get deep half guard, if it's deep already, I won't be able to put my knee in through that far. Okay, you put that my hand here, right? You get my leg, but you here and all the way in. It's already like I'm not going to get his back.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to be able to get his back.
No, yeah.
So if I'm still here, right? What she's saying is, even if you're
that's the threat.
Once you do that, your back is safe now.
You're good, right?
That's all you gotta do.
Right.
Now I have to keep acting though, because if I don't, she flattens me out. Now my game's over, right? Now I'm in a new position that I gotta figure out how to get out of.
Yeah.
So as long as you keep progressing,
but the threat is initially in that first part.
Yeah, I talk about this one all the time, and people actually started doing it. They kind of ripped off Danaher because Danaher is the way he's teaching, the same way that I learned, and it's a system, right? There's certain things that you're doing in order, and you have branches of a tree. And some people think this way, and when I kind of talk to them one-on-one, I'll usually recommend a flow chart, right? So if you think real analytically, you can make yourself a flow chart. And what's the flow chart entail is, well, how do you start the match? You start standing, right? And from standing, what are some things that can happen? You could perform your favorite takedown, right? Or they might take you down. And if you perform your favorite takedown, you're gonna land usually in one or two positions. You can usually tell where you're gonna land after that takedown. Fireman's carry, you're gonna land in side control, right? Or if I get taken down, I could either have guard or I could be stuck in side control, right? And so from there, if you did your fireman's and you have side control, what's your next move? You might try it for the key lock, and then, or they might replace guard. Now I'm in the guard, which is the same thing as one of these spots over here. Or they have side control on me. What are my plans of attack if the move gets done to me? And it starts branching out, and you have choices for each position. So the positions are mount, side control, back control, in the guard, you have guard, right? half guard. So from each of those positions, you need to have at least one plan of action, right? And also know what could be happening to you in that position. If you're mounted, you usually got to worry about an arm bar or a collar choke. You know, there's other stuff too, but those are your two main worries. If I'm in the guard, I have to worry about getting arm barred, I have to worry about getting triangle and omoplata and a collar choke. So there's 4 things there. So I guess if I'm mounted, I got to worry about those 4. They usually won't do the mounted triangle. Save that defense for last. Side control, I got to worry about a key lock, Mora, right? Baseball bat choke. So you start to learn what are the most common attacks from each position, what you got to worry about, and then your attacks, which becomes your game. That side of the tree becomes your game, what you like to do. You start to realize what you like to do and what positions you don't have an answer for, right? And so the flow chart, I think, is a really good way for people to actually look at their game, see where they need work, right? And then you'll go into a role and you'll find a position that you're not familiar with. You need to add that to your flow chart. Well, that's why I say rolling slow is important sometimes, because you're going to remember your role better, and then you can go back and write it down and say, when I tried my arm bar, they got to this other position, side control, or they stacked me and they did this move. Now you add that to your flow chart. Well, there's a potential when I try for the arm bar that they might stack me, and now I'm in this position where I don't have an answer for that box. What do I do, right? You can come to me and say, I don't know how to solve this problem here. You know, I try an arm bar, but if they stack me, I don't have a good answer for it, right? And I'll show you a move. You know, and then you fill in that box. Then next time you roll, you do that move, and you're going to see a couple things happening, right? And your flow chart starts growing and growing and growing and growing. But that's your game. That's your jiu-jitsu. You know?
Right.
Half guard, when I'm mounted, just an added thing that your question made me think of is why I like getting the half guard. Besides, I feel like it's easy to get the half guard than bumping and rolling. Is if I bump and roll and I get on top, it only counts as an escape, no points, right? But if I bump, get the half guard, and now from half guard I sweep them, that gets me points, 2 points, right? And so strategically, if you're in sport jiu-jitsu, that's going to get you more points than just bumping and rolling and escaping a position, right?
And it
so
still gives you the same
reward for using guard first.
Right, and it still gets you in a better position.
Yeah, and you're still getting in the same spot, better position. Just like escaping the back. So, and we'll talk about the back next, I guess. So if I'm escaping the back, I'll just kind of do this real quick. If I get out of here and right about here, we fight to get on top. I might get on top, she might get on top, right? Okay. But I'm going to show an escape that I like. If I get out here and I know she's going to fight to get on top, look what I'm doing. I'm catching her leg. I'm getting on top. Now I'm on top. Okay. So in the first version, she got on top, but I might have got on top. That's like this 50-50, right? If I got on top, I don't score any points because I was escaping the mount. I was escaping back control, sorry. In the second version, I got half guard. Now, she was on a 50-50 in her mind, like, he's going to try to get on top, I'm going to try to get on top, okay, I got on top. But in the version 2, I'm not thinking of that struggle. I'm thinking, she's going to try to get on top, I want a good half guard so I can sweep her easier. And so because I'm already a step ahead, thinking I want that half guard so I can sweep her easier, I'm probably going to get my sweep or take her back, and I'm going to end up getting points. Versus the first version where 50-50 chance, maybe I do get on top, but no points. Second version, I got half guard and I'm scoring points. I'm also a step ahead in my mind, where she was just trying to get on top and recover. So thinking that way as well, like what's the better scenario? You can, with a flow chart, you can start to figure out what your opponent's usually going to do, and you can create a new game that's going to counter what most people's reactions are. That's what jiu-jitsu is anyway, right?
Yeah.
Most people, when they get taken down, they try to get up. They give their back. What do? We know that. We take their back, right? Or if we get taken down, we catch them in the guard. Why? Because they're probably going to try to punch us or choke us, and we can keep them away. So jiu-jitsu seems backwards from what we normally think of would be natural, because it needs to be, right? How are you going to beat someone on the street when they're going through these normal instinctual movements, but we're working against the instinct, right? We're using the instincts against them. So the back, because we got to talk about how to stay out of trouble in the back. So we went over mount in the guard. We need to do side control in the back. So she has seatbelt. She has the hooks, right? To make sure I'm out of danger. I mean, I've already exposed my back, right? You should never really expose your back in the first place. Your chest should always be facing them. You should always have something to keep them from getting behind you, like an underhook. If you have an underhook, it's going to be hard for them to get behind you. So things like that are going to prevent this position. But let's say I got here already. My main concern is the top arm. The top arm is the one that can choke me. Yeah. Okay. My throat. All right. This one cannot choke me. Try to choke me with that one. Try to choke me with this one. Oh, you're reaching for my ear. Reach for my neck. My neck. My neck's not back there. Try to choke me with this one. See, she can't choke me. The armpit's in the way. Okay. So this arm is the one I have to worry about. Pull it down to my chest. I'm not trying to like remove it or anything like that. This is just going to come back, right? Even if I was able to bring it way out there. So I just hold it close to my chest. Okay? There are escapes where I now bring it to the other side of my head. That is a possibility, but I'm not like breaking it out here or doing things like that. For now, just bring it close to your chest. Now, she could switch hands on me. Yep, sorry. Yeah, she could switch on me. So I got to be aware of that. So how do I be aware of that? Switch back. Is I'm going to clamp, again, quarters in the armpits. I'm going to clamp on that arm. So now when she tries to take it out, it's a little harder, and I'm ready to catch it, see? So all I did there was, as I felt it slip out, I did this. Remember when I had the mount on me? Yeah. Now try to choke me, and I catch, right? Holding the wrist, or I'm catching the fist. Right? So if she hasn't got seatbelt yet, and she goes to get it, my hands are here ready to catch. And look, I'm putting them under my armpits. Right? So that's going to protect my neck. Okay, real quick. So, real quick, hold the arm down, clamp, right? Now, I want to throw my back to the direction of the choking hand that it's pointing. Throw my back to the mat, put my shoulder in the way. Remember, if my arm's in the way, she can't choke me. Now I can reach down, and she can't choke me here if my back's on the mat. Try to choke me again. If my back's on the mat, I'm fine. So that means I don't need my hands here as much. I can use them, take the foot off, rock the foot, switch my hip. If I wanted to get on top, I make sure my arms are over her, so it's less than 50-50, but I like to catch the leg, so when she gets on top, I have that half guard and my underhook ready. See, I'm already there, she's not even up yet. So, planning ahead, being ready for it. Rita's got to go.
Bye, guys.
But,
I see you tomorrow again. I gotta go to work.
So, elbows tight. I'm close. If I can keep the hooks out, use your elbows, keep the hooks out, hands here, ready to catch, whatever arm's coming across. I go here first. When I feel a hand come over, I catch it and wrap around, right? If I can get the other hand, same thing. If my shoulders are close to my neck, even harder to choke me. Same thing in half guard. My shoulders close to my neck and I got the underhook. You want to keep this space here close off from their hands coming through. So that's getting out of the back, staying safe there. Mount, having their back, side control, you don't have to worry as much about getting attacked. There are a few things you can do from each position. to kind of surprise them and get them. But the idea of, remember, the progression of jiu-jitsu is you're improving your position to get more and more dominant position. So if you're in a dominant position, or if they're in a dominant position, you shouldn't be trying to submit them. I'm not going to try to submit somebody if they're mounted on me. I'm not going to try to submit somebody if they have guard on me. I'm not going to try to submit somebody if they have side control on me. I'm not going to try to submit somebody that has my back. There's things I can do. Remember when I said pull the arm to the other side? I could try to, pull his elbow against my neck and hyperextend that arm, but really I should be getting out of the bad position, right? He has a good position on me. I don't want to try to submit him there. So that's something also a concept, that you want to follow is getting out of bad positions. Don't try to submit him while you're in a bad position. All the new guys will try to choke somebody while they're in the guard, or crank their neck while they're in the guard and stuff like that. It's because they don't know any better yet. And if somebody has flimsy guard, they're not really active with their guard, then it might work, right? And then that's the worst thing that can happen to one of our members is a new guy is able to tap somebody while they're in your guard, because now he's going to think it works, right? And remember, he's our member too. He's just new. And now he's going to, for months and months, try to put his forearm in people's necks while he's in their guard because it worked on a couple people, and now he's going to have bad habits. He's going to go to a tournament and get armbarred because he's choking people while he's in their guard. I got 1 or 2 kids that are doing that right now because it worked a couple times, and now it's hard to break that habit. It's a bad habit. You need to be passing the guard, right? And so being the bottom guy, how do you prevent that from happening? So you have your guard active. You have to keep them away with your legs. Extend your legs. When they're trying to put pressure forward, don't allow them to smash you, right? Keep them away. You have to push your own knees, but get them over there. Your hips and your knees should have 90-degree bends, right? If my hips start to get about here, now that's easily compressed, and it's hard to get out of that position, right? If your knees are too squished up, it's hard to get out of that position. So this should be a 90-degree bend, and this should be a 90-degree bend. If they're trying to pass, if they're already out of your guard, you don't want to be extended too far, right? Especially someone said their hip flexors are weak, mine too. If I get like this and they try to smash my legs down, they're going down, right? I gotta keep my knees at that 90-degree bend, right? If I start to straighten them out too much, I'm giving them too much leverage against me. Same thing with your arms. It's like a frame, right? 90-degree bend. Don't get too scrunched up. Don't get too extended. Stay right here, 90 degrees. From the attacking, there's things we don't have time because it's 3 or 4 positions, but from attacking, there's less we have to worry about. It's more positional to keep them from escaping. It's not really defense, which was the original question. Side control, let me go over that. So side control is like mount, my feet are close to my butt, my arms are 90-degree bends. This forearm is in the hip bone, and this forearm is in the neck, and it should be on my side, not on my back, right? On my side. And more leaning forward than vertically, right? So I'm already scrunched forward because why? They're trying to smash me flat, and that's more difficult to stay sideways if I'm already leaning that way. So I want to be leaning forward, more forward than backward. If I can touch my elbow to my knee, even better, right? Because that's closer and closer to getting the guard in there. So we're here. This is not good. This started happening because it's a lazy way of keeping your knee in their hip, right? Because the knee and the hip is so they don't mount easily, and then people would get tired from staying like this because you're using your effort, your muscle, so they would start resting their foot here so they wouldn't have to think about it. But that's the problem. Now they're not thinking about it, and the person's not saying nothing, right? That knee needs to be active in their hip or turn sideways if you're trying to replace your guard. then you don't have to sit there like that, you know? That goes back to progressing, right? I don't want to sit there and just defend and then not move. Once I've defended their attack, now it's my turn to get out. If I wait, now I have to defend another attack and another attack and another attack, and I'm just defending the whole time. Which is fine if you want to work your defense, but then it's also not good. If I go in a roll, like if I roll with Tony, and I just, in my mind, I don't even have to tell him this, or maybe I do tell him it, but I go, okay, I'm only going to defend. Good luck for Tony trying to tap me out, because I'm only defending. I'm not trying to attack, right? I'm just defending. Very difficult to tap a person that is only defending, right? By attacking, you open yourself up, right? So when they attack you and they try to tap you, let's say they try to get a heel lock or an arm bar, they're opening themselves up, right? Because part of their job is to control you. And if they attack, now they have to eliminate some of the positions they have that are controlling you. Let's say side control. You want to control the four corners, the hips, and everything. And now let's say they want to mount. They have to move their leg and try to step over. That's a chance for you to escape, right? And so we'll go over that too, but talk about a scale. Like you have control versus attack. And the more attack you go, the less control. You have to give up control, right? So now, same thing with the defense. If I'm not trying to attack Tony, I'm only focused on my defense, I could stay in the perfect position and you know, he won't be able to tap me out. Now, vice versa. If I'm rolling with Tony and I'm not trying to attack anything, I'm not trying to get arm bars, I'm not trying to get triangles, I'm not trying to get any submissions, and I just control. I'm just going to control him, side control or mount or whatever it is, and I'm just going to control. And if I get that position, he's not going to get out, right? So that's something too, you know. So the reason I bring that up, if you're trying to work your defense and you go into a roll and you only defend, you're not really working your defense the best that you could, right? You need to get caught in bad spots, right? So that means you need to attack too. You need to try to get that arm. Let's say I got mount, and if I only just sit there and mount and don't do anything, sure, I'm not going to get tapped out, but I'm not going to work my defense either. So I need to go for an arm bar. I need to go for something that maybe he gets out of, puts me in a weird position, so I can say, okay, now how do I defend, right? I need to get guard. I need to get half guard, whatever it is. So there needs to be a balance when you roll. Don't just do one thing. Don't just try to get guard and say, okay, I'm just going to keep my guard closed as long as I can. Okay, every once in a while you need to let them out so you can work your guard retention, how to get it back. If that makes sense. So when you come in to roll, or you find someone to roll with, try to focus on the principles we talked about. You know, some of them were keeping the elbows tight, quarters in the armpits, shoulders shrugged so chokes can't come in, hands in front, right? 90-degree bends in the legs and the knees, elbows in the knees and the hips as well. Turning sideways all the time, facing the person, staying square to them, not exposing your back. Thinking ahead, what they want to do, maybe create a little chart, gives a progression of the positions, what you like to go for, what happens when that fails, what most people try to do to you, and how you defend it. Just good position, staying safe. Juan, what was some of the stuff that you find yourself getting caught in?
Well, let me see. Every time I roll with Tony, he grabs me by the sleeves and throws me in his guard.
You're in his guard?
Yeah. He grabs me by the sleeves and in the guard I go, man. And
okay. Well, he's a strong guy. You know, if he can get your wrist and catches you without your elbows tight, you get pulled right in, right? So if that's something that's happening, it sounds like you might be reaching. You might be starting here, right? We shake hands, and then you go to reach for a grip. What's here? I just dropped.
So what I find myself in that situation is when I start trying to pass his guard. As soon as I grab his knees or his ankles or his
Yeah.
yeah,
You get pulled in.
he drags me in every single time.
Mm-hmm. So he needs to do two things to get you in the guard. He needs grips to pull on, right? And he can also scoot his hips in closer as well. So when you're reaching for any grips, I, again, don't want to let those quarters come out. So if I can't reach, it means I need to get closer, right? But I don't want to get closer like this. I'm leaning forward and I'm going to get pulled right in. Same as if I reached and he pulled that. So what do? I'm going to bring a leg up, combat stance. My elbow's close to my knee. I can grip the pants now. If I can't reach the pants, maybe they're past this line here, I move my lower body first. So I just scoot in. Now I can get the grips, right? He's not going to be able to pull my arm when it's here, when it's tight to me, especially with my shin right here, because I just go in with it. He pulls my arm, I move my knee too. Boom. And if he does get me in the guard, it's going to be an open guard. He's got to reach his legs all the way around this.
You wrap around, right?
You know, got my shin here. He's going to have to get all the way around all of this. Versus here, he just has to get around my midsection. So I'm here. I'm going to enter the guard. I'm going to pass the guard conservatively. I'm not going to rush it. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to get my points of control. You know, there's different passes. Maybe I'm going to go knee slice, get the knee down. It's the first thing I do. Adjust my foot, right? I know I need an underhook over there. So as I'm looking to get my knee over, I'm not going with it until I know I can get an underhook. Once I get that underhook, step out and I can work the rest of my pass. But I'm going to do it step by step, right? So the techniques have certain things that are involved in it, certain details, which is not as much what we're trying to do today, but whatever that technique is, we're going to perform the technique and make sure all the details are there. And if he stops us somehow, we want to evaluate what happened and what might have been able to stop it, right? Let's say I went for the pass and somehow he got my back. If I think back on it and say, okay, if I got an underhook, would he have been able to get my back? Oh, no, he wouldn't. Okay. What if I had held his collar? Okay, probably still would have got my back. And you can start to evaluate on that step during that roll how to fix what went wrong, you know? And then if not, that's what I'm here for. You come to me and be like, hey, what can I change? You know, what can I do to make that move better or not happen again? So reaching, that's a big one. So that would be like the quarter thing, you know? I got to get in there without reaching. And so you start to learn how to move your lower body. It's like you did some striking, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so if someone punches and they overextend, they're hitting their chest.
They're off balance.
Yeah. Right? That's not good. What do I do if I can't reach? I move my lower body closer.
Forward, right.
Yeah, I step in with that. You know, it's the same thing in the guard. I don't want to get my arm dragged. I don't want to get my upper body dragged into the guard. So I move my lower body as I scoot in there. Kind of slow, you know. He might back up. You know, I do that with big guys. I'll back up, so they keep reaching for me, and then I arm drag, right? So don't fall for the bait. Keep scooting in, you know, with your lower body first. And you won't get dragged because you'll be able to resist it. Sorry,
Great.
Tony. I can see Paul. Let's see. Paul, do you have any questions? No?
No.
Okay. I seen you pop in, so you come in muted. So if you were talking, I couldn't hear you before. Now you can.
Okay.
Thanks
So
for
real quick, so
thanks
that
for
my
coming.
notes, My notes are correct. This is how to pass Tony's guard.
This is how to pass Tony's guard.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Hey, the only question I had was in regards to the whole takedown. And you said if you take somebody down and you end up in their side control, you get no points. But
Correct.
what if you take somebody down, you end up in side control, and then you go to north and south, and then you go to the other side of the side control? Do you get points for that?
No points. So what the IBJJF did, they made it much easier. I'm glad they did this because it wasn't always the referee's faults, but some referees were better than others, and some it was too easy for refs to make mistakes because too much was based on their interpretation. What the IBJJF did was they pretty much put a 3-second rule on everything. So an example, a question I used to give them and they couldn't answer was, they would just say, oh, it's 2 points, was this. Let's say I'm on bottom and I'm trying to sweep you, right? Playing open guard, right? I get your leg and I start standing up with it. Now we're both standing, right? Doesn't matter how long. Let's say it was less than 3 seconds or more than 3 seconds. Both examples, I trip your foot and kick you down and now I'm on top. Was that a sweep or was it a takedown, right? There was no, and they would say, well, it doesn't matter, it's 2 points. Okay, yeah, it's 2 points, but it still matters because there's gonna be situations where you need to know if it was a sweep or a takedown. That does matter, it's important. Because there's gonna be other positions and other situations where that specific, what it was matters, right? A takedown and a sweep are 2 points. So luckily, it doesn't matter in that situation, but there's gonna be other times that it does. And the reason I bring that up is, you'll see. But if I get a takedown and I land in side control, right? So there's no points for side control of the position. And I go to north-south, there's no points for side control of the position or north-south the position. So it doesn't matter if I stayed there 3 seconds or not. Go to north-south. Doesn't matter if I flowed through that or stayed there. And I got to side control again on the other side control. In that situation, I never passed the guard, right? And passing the guard gets 3 points. So I took them down. I got my 2, but I landed in side control. So I was never in the guard. And I went north-south and then the other side, right? None of those things get points. So I'm still at 2 points. If I took somebody down with, let's say, a double leg, you end up in guard a lot. I got my 2 points. And now I passed. I got to be there 3 seconds in that guard, struggling, trying to pass it. It doesn't have to be close on me, but I have to be in that guard for 3 seconds trying to fight it. And I pass. Now I get the 3 points, right? But I have to pass. Also, I have to be past the guard for 3 seconds, right? I have to be controlling the guy. If I'm not controlling the guy, let's say I pass the guard, I'm kind of on the side, you know, but he's sideways, he's framed. I haven't driven him flat yet. I haven't got seatbelt from that side control. He's still fighting. And I'm there, let's say 5 seconds fighting to maintain that control. And he gets the guard. I never really passed, right? I didn't have 3 seconds of control. Now, let's say I landed in the guard. I got my 2 points for the takedown. I get past his legs, and I hold him. I hold him for 3 seconds. In that side control, he's flat on his back, you know, and I got my points, right? I got 3 points for passing the guard, and he replaces. Okay, now it's going to be a question. How long am I in the guard again? Is it for 3 seconds and then I pass? Then I'll get 3 more. If it's just like 1-2 seconds, he doesn't really have a good guard, and I put myself back in the side, then I only get the 2 for the takedown and the first 3 points for passing, because the second time I was in the guard was not for 3 seconds. So everything's based on 3 seconds now. So what people used to do is they used to farm the points, meaning it's a gamer term. They used to get the takedown, they used to get to side control, and then they used to dangle their foot there for the guy to catch a quarter guard that we were talking about. So the quarter guard is considered half guard. It's considered a guard, right? So, oh no, my foot got caught in the guard. Now I pass, and 3 more points. So they used to farm the points, right? They used to get 3, get caught in the guard again, get 3 more, get caught in the guard again, and just rack up the points, farming points, we call it. Now you can't do that. You have to legitimately be in the guard and fight your way out of it. And they determine that with the 3-second rule. And so back to my example of is it a takedown or is it a sweep? Let's say I'm coming up on a sweep with a single leg type position. We stand up and I knock you right down right away. Then that would be a sweep, right? But let's say we stand up and you're hopping on one foot and I'm trying to trip you and can't quite get you. And then we've been there 3 seconds and then I take you down. Now I take you down, right? And so that's how they determine that. And that's going to matter later when it's other positions like back take or a guard pass, right? Where the points are not the same. Or if they change the rules and a takedown is 3 points instead of 2, right? Or a sweep gets more points, whatever the case might be. You know, that's when the positions matter more. And now they have a good definition, the 3-point rule, right? But it's 3-second rule, but the 3 seconds of control or 3 seconds in a new position, right? So instead of guard, now it became neutral, and that's why it's a takedown. Yeah.
Got it.
Other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'd like to, at some point, if we're going to be able to continue this for, I would imagine it's from all indications an extended period of time, because
Yeah.
with, hell, they're locking down now. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Orange County is like starting tomorrow night at 11 is on lockdown.
Yeah, I heard Orlando. Yeah, Orange County.
Yeah. Luckily for me, we're lucky in my industry. We're considered, because we work for the government and DOT work, we're considered essential work, and our projects will continue working. So, Lord willing, I won't lose my job. But already my wife's situation is really ugly because she's in the hotel business. So it's. But in any case, that's a different conversation. Sorry, I got off on a tangent. I guess I'm just venting. So if this is going to continue for an extended period of time, at some point, can we talk about more, instead of competition level stuff, which I am interested in at some point, but also street defense, the guy that gets on your mount that's bigger, stronger, and starts raining down punches and elbows on you, and that usually that doesn't last very long if that happens.
That's true. But neither do they. They burn out pretty quick too. But yeah, we could definitely do that. One thing that I've always done in everything that I've practiced and trained, I love the sport and I love competing, but I always wanted to be a complete fighter, right? So that included striking, that included all the illegal moves in a tournament are no longer illegal on the street, right?
Correct.
And I always looked at like, those are more effective, right? Why else would they be illegal, right? Because they do more damage. So they make it illegal so you don't hurt the competitors so they can keep competing.
Right.
And so on the street, those are things that you would go for. So yeah, we could definitely do that. There's certain things that, and I try to keep my game pretty honest when it comes to would you do this on the street or not, right? So like going inverted, berimbolo type movements in a street fight, someone skilled, yes, they're going to be able to pull it off and they're going to be able to do it. But if that's not like what you do all the time, every day, then they're probably going to step on your head, right? So a great example is, I kind of got a chuckle out of it real early on. So I've been doing this for a long time, obviously. A real early fight, I think it was King of the Cage. And there's a guy named Chris Brennan, and he's a good coach. Chris Brennan, he got interviewed at, I believe I said King of the Cage, and he goes, yeah, I'm just here to see if what I'm teaching really works, right? And he has this tattoo. It's like Brazil flag and American flag on his back, and he teaches Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so then when he had his fight, so I'm watching him fight, and he goes upside down. I believe it was inverted, like looked like a back kick that he was going for. And so he's under the guy, and the guy, he goes like this, and then punched him in the face, right? He punches him in the face from behind his back, and Chris Brennan, that was pretty much it, right? I forget if he got knocked out or if that just led to ground and pound and eventually him losing the fight right there. And the first thing in my mind was, well, I guess what you're teaching doesn't work, you know? So that always stuck with me, right? When I started learning jiu-jitsu, I'm like, oh, this is that stuff, right? Because I was just looking for jiu-jitsu to have a place to wrestle, right? And had mats. And I fell in love with jiu-jitsu later and the moves. But I always keep that in mind, like, will this be a smart thing to do in a real fight? And so some things I do, like when I'm doing half guard, I'm very aware of someone being able to punch me or not. There's some moves and movements I won't go for because I know that it wouldn't be smart in the street to do it. So I try to keep my game true to that, right? But at the same time, if someone's trying to learn sport, those moves are important, right? So I try to find a good balance. And then when I find a move that I'm teaching is better for the street or illegal in a tournament, I'll make people aware of that and vice versa. Like if it's good for sport but not for the street, I'll make people aware of that. And I usually reserve the more sporty moves, like not good for the street. I'll tell the advanced guys that like to compete about that. And then when there's something more for the street or something extra you could do, then I would let you know that as well. So we'll try to keep it conceptual again, because that's kind of the theme right now. But there's going to be things that you don't want to do, like going inverted and stuff like that. So yeah, we could definitely talk about that.
Yeah, one of the ones that come to mind is trying to get a guy that's much stronger and bigger than you in a triangle, and he stands up and slams you into the ground.
Right. Yes. So I've seen that. Yeah. You know, and I've seen it go both ways, but usually it comes down to the person who's confident in the triangle and knowing how to take that slam, and they usually will come out on top. But I have seen it the other way around, where a guy lets that go and you'll still get slammed, or he doesn't do his was it ukemi, your back falls and everything. If you're not doing not taking the fall properly, that could get you knocked out. You know, good one is, was it Husamar Palhares and Gary Tonin? That one slams were allowed, and he was going to slam him when he had the triangle. And Gary Tonin let the triangle go and landed on his feet. You know what I mean? So you got to know when to let a move go too. You know, and
yeah, wasn't it Rhonda that got dumped on her head? Who was it? The most recent female that got dumped on her head?
I'm trying to remember. But yeah, it's happened. You know, and another one was this is all MMA stuff, but Jackson. What's his Jackson?
Rampage?
Yes, Rampage.
Talking about Rampage?
And he was in the triangle, and then he slammed, I want to say Vitor Belfort. I forget who it was. And he hit his head on the ground, and then he hit his head on Rampage's head when he got slammed. And that he got knocked out. Or just, who was the other one? This one might have been Vitor and Matt Hughes. And it was standing up in the triangle, and he put him against the cage, and the guy got passed out, right, standing. And then he fell, he dropped him, and Matt Hughes got knocked out from falling. He didn't get slammed, but he fell because the triangle worked. right?
Because
And it
it's
just
not about it, right.
it happened to be that Matt Hughes woke up first and got the win. The ref didn't even realize that he got knocked out. So yeah, there's danger to that, you know. But there's things you can do to stop from getting picked up and getting slammed as well. So something like hooking the leg. If you hook the leg, they can only lift you up so far. You know, so that's an option there. We can talk about that too.
Hey, coach, I'm going to take off. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I'm
All right, guys.
hungry too.
All right, guys. Same like here.
All right, Sonia. One.
All
Talk
right,
to you
guys.
later.
Take care, buddy.
Alex wanted to be here, but he's taking a walk with the family, so he wanted me to let you guys know that.
All right. You're recorded and send a YouTube video then?
Yeah, I'm recording this. I'm gonna I gotta figure out how to do this because this is an hour-long video, hour and a half long, and so it takes a while. It converts it to MP4, but I do have yesterday's recorded, and then this is gonna record as soon as I turn it off. And so it takes a while, like at least half an hour to 40 minutes. And
Okay.
so I might run over in the morning and come get the flash drive and then upload it.
Very
Because
good.
I can't wait for it tonight.
Understood. Okay. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Okay.
No problem. See you guys next time. See you tomorrow.
All take care, guys.
Tomorrow.
Bye.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yes.